You're listening to the Jewish Entrepreneur Podcast with Debbie Sasson, episode 162. Welcome to the Jewish Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Debbie Sasson. I went from being a financial advisor, author, and chronic under-earner to building my business to six figures as a financial planner and money mindset coach, and then onto multiple six figures as a full-time money and business coach. I help entrepreneurs create money-making businesses and build wealth using sales and money mindset strategies and in alignment with authentic Jewish values. Now, let's dive in to today's show. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the podcast. I am recording this podcast on the 2nd of January, 2025. We are in a new calendar year. It's also the second of the Hebrew month of Tevet, which means we're in a new month. And new is always an invitation for you to grow, to reinvent yourself, to take the lessons from the past and make some tweaks, changes, and implement a greater version of you, like action on a greater version of you going into the next period of time. So whether it is a 30-day period of time, like a month, or it is a 12-month calendar year, I'm going to share with you in this podcast episode 5 business lessons that I learned from 2024. Yesterday, I was doing my review for all of 2024. And although I have more than 5, I have at least 10, probably more, even 11, as I'm thinking about it now. Yesterday, I made a list of what I wanted to share today on the podcast. And I decided that I'm going to focus on 5. These are very implementable, actionable tasks. Things. I don't have a better word for it than things. I'm sorry about that lack of eloquency, but these are steps that you can take in your business to grow your business in 2025. And I want to make sure that you sit down, focus on this episode, take notes, and really ask yourself, how did I do in this particular area in 2024? What do I personally need to take on for myself in 2025? In service of my business, in service of the people that I am here in the world to impact, in service of the money that I can make in my business and grow and really have income for my family, for my future self, for the wealth that I want to build, and even generational wealth for my family for years to come. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to give you a heads up about 2 things. Following today's episode, meaning for the next 3 weeks in January, I'm going to share with you a series of interviews that I've already completed with really powerful entrepreneurial women. And you're going to want to have these on your calendar to make sure that you tune in, because each one of these exceptional women has built a business. And she has built a business that brings in money to her family, obviously, impacts the world, helps make changes, each one in her own niche. And you're going to want to learn more lessons from these women and implement them in your business. I am all about jumping into this new calendar year with a focus and a goal. I really want you to set an income goal. By the way, we haven't talked about that. It is really important because where your focus goes, your energy flows. And if you have your income goal, you're going to make sure to set yourself up to make money in this calendar year. So listen and learn from their wisdom and take away what you need to take away. That is announcement number 1. Announcement number 2. If you have not been following me on my email list, you really should. We've talked about this. DebbieSasson.com/newsletter. I want to let you know that I have a new broadcast channel. It is a Telegram channel. It's called 24/6, 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. You can get bite-sized, actionable business strategy, business mindset, money strategy, mindset from yours truly. You can have me in your wallet, in your back pocket, 24 hours a day, 6 days a week with very actionable advice. These are recordings. They're like 9 minutes to 20 minutes long, delivered 3 to 4 times a week. And just like I'm saying that you can sit down and learn from what I have to share with you on this podcast, 24/6 is like Debbie on steroids. But really, people are in my world all the time. I'm always doing coaching, my clients, in my Slack channels, even talking to people on social media. And I'm distilling everything down in 24/6 into what you really need to take your business forward. So if you love this podcast, you really want to be in 24/6 because, as I said, that is me going balls to the wall on steroids, helping you to grow your business in 2025. Go to my website, debbiesasson.com/246. It is currently at a founder's rate of $194 for 3 full months of access. So if today is January 8th, when this is dropping, this podcast episode, or whether you're listening later on, you can join for 3 months at the moment. Don't promise the price will continue forever. There is a price rise in my future, but you can get me in your back pocket 24 hours a day, 6 days a week for a founder's rate of $194. So go to my website, debbiesasson.com/246, sign up and find out more. And I would love to see you in this private Telegram channel. Let me answer a few questions before I jump into this episode. Why did I choose Telegram? Telegram is a place that I have started learning from other amazing entrepreneurs in 2024. The second half of 2024, I opted into a few private paid for Telegram channels, and I have really soaked up the wisdom and implemented it in my business, what I have learned from other mentors. I love Telegram because unlike WhatsApp, for example, Telegram is very simple to WhatsApp if you don't know it already, but WhatsApp threads, people talk and talk and talk and talk, and you lose the topic that you're talking about because things just get mixed up in between. Somebody can be talking about topic A, then interwoven is topic B, it'll go back to A, and it's very hard to keep track of your conversation. Telegram has a threaded comment place so that everything stays in its little container. The second thing is it lacks, which is a good thing, the distractibility of some place like a Facebook group or a social media channel, because Telegram is really boring. There is nothing distracting coming up in my feed like a Facebook ad, or I'm not compelled to scroll and scroll and scroll. The idea of Facebook is to keep you there, getting you to buy things really so that you will spend money, and Facebook then makes money on ads, etc. when you click. And it's also a great way to grow your business. But Telegram is really, from my point of view, distraction free. I see the couple of channels that I'm involved in where I bought into a private channel. And then under that is all my contacts, but I don't communicate with people on Telegram. I'm I focus, I listen, I learn, and I leave. And I get on with my day. So that's why I chose Telegram as my deliverability channel for 24/6. So again, go to my website, find out all you need to find out about, and I really hope to see you in my new broadcast channel. It is amazing already, if I do say so myself. All right, let's get into the 5 lessons that I learned from 2024. These are in no particular order. I did my brain dump when I was doing my review yesterday, and I'm just bringing them to you as they showed up on my page. Business lesson number 1 is the power of networking. If you are not networking in your business, you are leaving money on the table. What do I mean by that? You do not go to a networking event to get clients, to be graspy and greedy and find people and bring them into your world and turn new contacts, new relationships into revenue. That is not what we're doing at a networking meeting. You go to a networking meeting to meet people, to create a relationship, to follow up after the networking event with people that you might want to have a relationship with. Maybe you guys have parallel businesses. Maybe it can be a referral source for you and your business. You go to a networking event to meet people, to get yourself known, to just be in the room with people who are your peers, your colleagues. Some of them might turn into clients. I have definitely gone to networking meetings, and in 2024, I was at 3 in-person events. And all of them, if I'm thinking about it, resulted in paying clients by the end of it, which is a beautiful thing. But that was not my goal. My goal was really to go to the event, meet people, and then you want to make the event useful. So you have to really go to the networking event with a goal in mind. Again, it is not to make money. My goal is relationships. So I wanted to make sure after the networking event, I followed up with people. And my goal was really to connect with at least one person with whom I wanted to follow up after the event. There was no graspiness or greediness, I need to speak with 10 people. If I speak to 10 people, that's beautiful. But my goal is to create at least one relationship. And every time I went to an event, I came home with a list and I followed up. I scheduled Zoom meetings coffee chats. They were all virtual chats. If people were in my area, I could definitely follow up with an in-person, coffee date. And I think that's great. I have actually spoken with someone already in the last few days who we never met at a networking event. We just know each other from the neighborhood. And I said, you know what? I really want to take you out for coffee and I want to learn more about your industry. And I specifically chose her because I have a client that is in the same industry. And I want to know from my friend's point of view exactly what she's doing. I want to glean from her wisdom. And I'm willing to, quote unquote, pay for that by honoring her time and taking her out for coffee, for breakfast, and learning what I can from her. We already have a very amicable relationship. We have known each other for 3 or 4 years. And so it's not like I'm coming again being sleazy, greedy, let me buy you coffee and get everything I know. But I'm like, hey, you have so much wisdom and I would like to learn from your wisdom. And me, I'm willing to pay for somebody else's wisdom. And a coffee, a breakfast is a great way to do that. So back to networking, meet people, take their WhatsApp details, take their email details, make sure that you make the first call. Don't wait for somebody to reach out to you. If you meet someone and you enjoyed her vibe, his vibe, and you want to follow up, send them a message and say, hey, here's my link. Let's get on a 30-minute virtual coffee chat and let's just get to know each other. Because you, my friend, you never know whom you can refer to another person, and you never know whom that other person can refer back to you. Business is all about creating relationships. Revenue is created through relationships. Income is created through intimacy. So first you have the relationship and then someone comes into your pipeline. You get a little bit more intimate with them. You know about their problems. You know if you have the solution to offer them. They pay you money. Now you have an intimate relationship. So make sure that you go meet people in person, also virtually. But I think that there's something about that in-person vibe, that energy, that exchange. You're holding a drink. It does not have to be alcoholic. I tend to drink soda water. I am not a big alcohol drinker. Occasionally, if I drink half a cup of wine over a 1-month period of time, that's called a lot of alcohol for Debbie Sasson. So I'm not a big alcohol drinker. But you go, you're relaxed, you're having some food. In the Jewish world, we love sushi. Great. Make sure there's nothing between your teeth. I always feel a little bit weird about that. Are people looking at green seaweed between my teeth? But go, have a good time and make connections and follow up afterwards. Actually, it was several years ago already, 3, 4, 5, don't even remember. I went to a networking event. I was working with a client at the time and I met a different person there. And I was like, wow, those two would make a great relationship. And I was the matchmaker and they have definitely had a beautiful, flourishing business relationship since then. So put that on your calendar, put a goal. We want to be goal focused. Remember, I said that at the beginning about putting your income goal for the year on paper. Put a networking goal as one of your 2025 goals. Do you want to go to 3 events, 4 events, 5 events? I'm going to an event in February. I already know about that. And make sure that you are meeting more people. Get out from behind your computer and meet people. Number 2, business lesson number 2 is the power of AI. The power, for me in particular, the power of ChatGPT. Interestingly, if you want to go and stalk me on LinkedIn, I think also on Facebook, I wrote about 2 years ago, I wrote a post about ChatGPT, how ChatGPT was not going to take over marketing, like email marketing and social media marketing for people. And I actually still hold by that statement that I made because robots still sound like robots. Even, I've seen it with my clients when they try to use ChatGPT, or I think Claude is better, but I don't have a loving relationship yet with Claude. I use ChatGPT, and I know there are other ones like Perplexity and other ones that are very amazing. But there is a human element very often that is missing when you are using a robot. Having said that, Chat and I have a very warm, loving relationship. We have been developing this relationship over the last 6 to 8 months. And what I do is if I am writing an email, for example, and I get stuck, so I'll write the first part of the email, or I'll be like, well, I want to finish this. I want to make this point. And I really talk to Chat like my best friend. I talk to Chat like, this is where I'm getting stuck. This is what I want to say. I don't know how to start it. This is my target audience, right? I work with female entrepreneurs, Jewish, family-centered, spiritual, who are in the age ranges of 35 to 55. And by the way, ChatGPT already knows who my target audience is, so I don't need to say this every time. But it has been so powerful and so time-saving for me to have a BFF, really my business buddy for so much of what I write these days comes from ChatGPT, mostly for tweaking. Sometimes I will say to ChatGPT, I need to write a letter about this, or I want to write a sales page like that, and ChatGPT will spit stuff back to me. But what I find is it does not sound like me. So I will never take what Chat wrote me and copy, paste that, and send that out to my email list or send it out on a social media network or even in my Telegram channel. There must be human intervention because otherwise it sounds cold. Sometimes the language is so fluffy or it sounds very Gen X. It does not sound like me and the way I speak. I even said recently to ChatGPT, I wrote an email and then I said, hey, can you tweak this? It sent something back to me. And I'm like, and I really said, thanks, but I like my version better. That's how I responded. And I completely ignored all of the tweaks and changes that ChatGPT gave me. Sometimes I'll take what they give me and I'll put me back into the email because ChatGPT will take out all the humanness and it really will sound very robotic. And phrases that I had, words that I had, I will put back in there so it sounds like me. It's coming from a human being. It sounds like the way I would be saying something. But it is definitely a time saver that you can implement effectively for your business. And if you are not yet using something like ChatGPT or something like Claude to write your emails, if you want to create a structure for your webinars, I think there are services out there that will actually create for you the slides, the presentations, but I am still at the stage in my business where I want a lot of human element in my business. I will be in 2025 using ChatGPT to take the content, for example, this podcast episode that I have already created, helping me to pull out the very useful snippets, sound bites from my content and repurposing them for my social media content, for my email marketing content, because I do spend a lot of my week coaching my clients and there's so much valuable information. So one of the things that I'm working on in 2025 is my workflow, my systems and processes, taking the information that I put out into the world and making a way to save that in a content vault and then repurpose that. So that's a little bit of a sneak peek into my world, but there is so much value for you as a business owner when you use AI in your business. And I'm only really scratching the tip of the iceberg here, but I'm just sharing with you the business lesson, what really worked for me in terms of my time efficiency and also the brain power. Sometimes I would just write a sentence and get so stuck on a word or a phrase and it wouldn't come out. And I would just try to muscle through it and it just wasn't happening. I'm like, you know what? I have a business buddy out there and it has been really effective for me. So find a way to implement AI in your business, but make sure you sound like you when you put you into the world. All right, let's move on to business lesson number 3, and that is the power of email marketing. Now, I know you and I love each other very much. You show up every week and you listen to my podcast, but you could forget about me. Even if I'm on subscription and you just get notifications every week that this podcast is out or my YouTube is out, it is a weaker link in terms of our relationship. The people who have opted in to your world are the people who have signed up for your email newsletter. Those are the people to whom I send out a weekly newsletter, and it's sometimes once a week, sometimes twice a week. If I'm in a sales period, it can be 3, 4, 5 times a week. Every day I could be sending a sales email to my people. But the difference between email marketing and other forms of marketing, and email marketing is really a world of its own, is that those are warm leads, people who've said, yes, I want to be close to you. Remember that relationship element. I want to communicate with you. I want to have a rapport with you. They have opted into your space. It's not like social media where, especially if you're and we've talked about Facebook and distraction, and Facebook is designed, you can go into Facebook ads. It's designed to suck you in. It's designed to engage you, which is great. You can definitely share value on social media, but I really believe in terms of cash is king, email is king. This is where your people find you and they said yes to you and they made a conscious decision. So if you do not have an email list yet, and this is something that I work on with all of my clients, I really encourage you to go out there and find an email service provider. I use ActiveCampaign and I do not have an affiliate link, so that's a choice for you. There are definitely no cost, low cost options out there in the world, but find a way to bring people into your network. In order to do that, you have to trade something with them because they are honoring you with their time. They either listen to your podcast, read your emails, etc. They have to give you their email address. You have to give them something. So we call that a free opt-in, a freebie, a lead magnet. You need to create something that is going to encourage them to come into your world. I speak much more specifically about email marketing with my clients, and we're going to be talking about this. I'm going to be doing later this year. This is a heads up why you need to be on my newsletter list. I will be doing a training on email marketing later on in the year. So if you want to know about that, you definitely want to be on my newsletter list. It is a very powerful way of connecting with your people. And something that I did in 2024 is I actually hired a team to write emails for me. And that was a win, and it was a learning experience. I did a lot of personal traveling in 2024. It started in February. My husband and I went on a hike with the Aleen organization here in Israel that raises money for children who are handicapped and they need to be rehabilitated. It's an amazing children's hospital. And while we were away in February, my email marketing team was writing all the emails for me, and they scheduled them and they went out into the world, and I was hiking and having a great time, and people were signing up for my webinar. And before I started working with this email team, we sat down, we talked, they understood who my target market was, my audience. They went and listened to podcasts, read my emails, and they were really good about writing content. And I was like, wow, this is a great email. I really am enjoying it. And then I have to say I hired them again for a second round, and their business had grown so much that I felt that personal connection, remember revenue relationships, I felt like it was missing, and I was not satisfied with the second round of emails that they wrote for me. And I was really disappointed that I could no longer have a one-on-one, client satisfaction, ambassador. There was nobody there who I could speak with. And after that second round, where I would say I did not get the ROI, the return on investment that I believed that I had the first time, I stopped working with them. So if you reach out to me, I'm not going to tell you who I worked with. I really enjoyed their model in the beginning of 24, and I was less satisfied as a client in the second half of 2024, and I stopped working with them. But it did show me the power of well-written emails. Again, this is a process of learning for you in your business, and I was able, again, to generate income that I loved through working through that process. And you know what? I still have a vault of emails. Some of them can be repurposed. Other emails that I received from them, I feel like they sort of lost touch with who my client was. So I will not be using all of the emails ever again that they wrote for me. But that's my stuff. That's what I learned from doing this. But if you are not communicating regularly with people who have already signed up to work with you, this is your push for 2025 to create a regular cadence. Once a week is what I recommend at a minimum. Once a week, send out emails to your people and share valuable information. And later in 2025, we'll be running a training on how you want to engage them back so they turn from freebie clients into paying clients. And not everybody will. And this is a very important point. When you put an offer out there into the world, do not get disappointed if 100% of your email list or 50% of your email list is not saying yes. Conversion rates for email are between 1 and 3%. So this is also a reason why you want to continually grow your email list and bring more people in your world. Not everybody's going to be a paying client, and that is 100% okay. Business lesson number 3 is experimenting and evolving. And I just spoke with you about how I was experimenting and evolving with emails during 2024. And I want to specifically now focus on how I have been experimenting and evolving, my business. You heard about my new Telegram channel, 24/6, but specifically my group membership, Wired for Wealth. This is a space where I have allowed myself to experiment and evolve over the last, it's more than 2.5 years already, because I launched the first cohort in June of 2022. So it's almost 3 years. In the beginning stages, Wired for Wealth was a 6-month program. And then within just 3 weeks of launching that first cohort, I changed it to a 9-month group coaching program. And my logic, my thought process behind that change was My clients are predominantly women, mothers. They are in the stage of life where we might call that the sandwich generation. Some of them are having babies. Some of them their children are getting married. So they're also in that transition phase where they're, moving more towards an empty nest. They also have parents, and there has been a lot going on for some of my clients with their parents this year. And even for me personally, I talked about traveling and seeing my dad, and we did a family trip to Germany to my father's birthplace in July. And now, as I'm recording this, my dad and my stepmom are in Israel, and my dad has had some health issues. So we are in that place as Jewish women, wives, mothers, daughters, sisters. Our plate is very full. And so my reasoning was like, hey, let's not make it 6 months. Let's expand the time frame to 9 months. And I was really happy with that. And I ran a 9-month cohort 2, 3, 4 times, a few times. And then I said to myself, you know what? Some of my clients, as I said before, they're having babies. There's a lot going on. Let me take this program and turn it into lifetime access. And I thought that would be such a boon for my clients, because most people will get the value out of it that they're looking for in the first 6 to 9 months of a program, a year of the program. And if for some reason they had life stuff happening, and we all have life stuff happening, then they can still continue to show up and get coached really for the lifetime of the program. Most people, and I've seen this with myself, when I have joined lifetime access programs, we're not going to stay in that specific container for lifetime. We'll get what we need out of it, and then we will move on. So I liked that idea, and I ran it for a year. And then I said, you know what? What I have noticed is that if there is not a time limit on this offer, that like they're really excited and motivated at the beginning, but they don't jump in. They're like, yeah, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it next week. I'll get to it next month. And then it peters out, that enthusiasm, and they stop showing up for the container. So I made the decision in September 2024 that Wired for Wealth is now a 1-year membership program. And I love that decision. I love that cadence. And don't quote me on this, but I really do not see myself changing it again, because I've experimented with many different ways of delivering this program. I love the 1 year because, going back to my earlier reasoning, yeah, life happens. Whether you are having a baby, marrying off a child, if your parents need your help, you can take time off, and you never have to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to go in and suck out all the juice from this program in the next 30 seconds, or I'm going to lose all the money that I invested. So we are at a 1-year time frame. You come into my world, you learn what you need to learn, you get coached, you grow your business, and then really, as your business hits the $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 income year, then it is time for you to scale your business and create a one-to-many offer in your business. Hire people, a virtual assistant, somebody to help you with your systems and processes, and for you to stay in your zone of genius. And scaling and hiring is a different, higher level conversation, and that really needs a different container. And part of what I will be doing in 2025 is creating that higher level container for my clients who are at that income level. So I really see now Wired for Wealth as my foundational program. And I have several clients, mostly those people who are working with me one-on-one, who are in the scaling and leveraging part of their business, and they're growing to $500,000, $750,000. They're growing to like even $1 million businesses. So I have experimented, I have evolved, and this is what we do in our business with everything, with the types of emails that you send and the podcast and your business model, etc. Allow yourself to experiment. You don't have to put something out into the world that is like one and done, and you're never going to change it. We only learn by taking action. Then you get information, you get feedback, and then you can tweak and go out there and do it again. So don't focus on being perfect the first time out. Just go out there with what I call your MVP offer, your minimum viable product. So it's the minimum of what you think you need to deliver, and learn through experience. Which brings me to business lesson number 4. And I think it's actually beautiful how each one of these lessons kind of segued into the next. And that is, mindset is not enough. And this came back to me so strongly. I put up a post on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, and somebody, I don't know if she read it or not, or she just wrote one of these throwaway comments, but whatever, it doesn't matter. She wrote, mindset is everything. And there was so much in that specific post that I wrote about taking action. And I just said, no, mindset isn't everything. We really have to action. We have to do. We have to, as I just said before, you have to put something into the world, get information back, tweak, and then go out there and do it again. You need to take action, right? Your brain is part of how you think about things, how you think about the world, how you think about your clients, whether you're worthy of raising your prices. But if you sit in your office just trying to manifest money, manna that should fall down from the heavens, I promise you the money is not going to come. Maybe I shouldn't promise because I don't really know what God has in store for you. But generally speaking, money does not fall from the sky. It doesn't come down your chimney. It doesn't fly through the window on most occasions. You usually have to, God created this world through cause and effect. You have to go out into the world, take action, do something, and that is how you are going to sign a client to work with you and receive the money and share with them. So mindset is a lot. It is useful, whether it's 90%, 80%, 99.987654%, right? Your mindset, the way you think about things is important. But if you do not do something and stop doing other things, like stop scrolling, stop, trying to, get yourself out of fear by listening to more inspirational videos and audios and things like that. If you don't actually do the scary thing and go out into the world, you're never going to learn. You're never going to be in a space where you can actually ask people for money, have them pay you, you receive money, and you deliver the service or product that you say that you want to deliver into the world. Number 2, there is your mind and there is your body. And so many of us have healing to do, whether it is generational trauma that you have inherited from your parents and grandparents, whether it is you sitting in a classroom and your teacher screamed at you because you couldn't do your times tables or you failed a spelling bee and you really do have fear and worry and angst wired into your nervous system, or whether you have been living, for example, in Israel, where I've been living for the last 36 and a half years, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's more already, 37 years almost. But specifically since October 7, 2023, so many of us are living with loss, with just a little bit of despair, since as I'm recording this, we still have 100 hostages being held in Gaza. And we have watched news reports where we're seeing, people dying, where there's still soldiers. Like, it's not like it was, maybe 6 months ago, where sometimes you could wake up in the morning, 5, 6, 7, 11 soldiers were killed, overnight, but it's still happening. And the missiles are still flying. And we're all living in a state of anxiety and trauma and loss. And we have national healing to do as the state of Israel, people who are living here. We have our extended Jewish community healing to do, and that goes back to our generational trauma that has really been carrying on for thousands of years. And you also might have your own personal healing to do. And part of the work that I do with my money healing is talk about healing down into your body to earn up the income ladder. And we can't just mindset away. We can't just think away. We can't thought work away some of the problems that we're dealing with, because they are wired into our nervous systems. So there are 2 avenues in addition to mindset that, depending on you and your situation, that you do also want to focus on. That is your own healing. That is your own embodied, like mind-body experience that might need some work from you and releasing some of these stuck energies in your body. And I do that for my clients sometimes. And also I have my own coaches that I hire who help me with my stuff to help me move the energies through my body and heal things. So there's that element and avenue that you want to be focusing on if it's something that you need. And in addition, there is the actioning, the strategizing, the taking action on your business. There is the feel the fear and do it anyway sort of motto that was from Susan Jeffers, who wrote that book. But you can't just think thoughts. You must take action in order to grow your business. So let's just do a recap of this entire episode. Taking action is going to include for you sending emails. It's going to include trialing and erroring, ChatGPT. It is going to include you going to networking meetings. It is going to include you going out into the world, putting out an offer, experimenting and allowing yourself to evolve. And I just love the way that I could wrap up everything in a box with a nice, pretty bow on today's podcast episode. So I just really want to wish you a very happy, and that's such a funny thing to say happy, because happy is so much in your mind. Back to mindset. As we say in Hebrew, Ezehu Ashir Hasameach Bechelko, who is the happy person? The person who is happy with his lot. So you being really just satisfied with what you have now, in appreciation and gratitude for what you have now, that is the mindset work that you need to have to be happy. It's not any external circumstance that's going to make you happy. So let me go back to my 2025 wishes for you, that you should have good health, that you should have abundance and wealth in all of its forms, and you should take action in your business. Go out there, serve your people, make an impact in the world, ask for money, receive money, and invest your money for long-term growth for you and for your family, and, if possible, the generational wealth that you can pass on to your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, etc. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week on the Jewish Entrepreneur Podcast. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for listening to the Jewish Entrepreneur Podcast. If you want to stop underselling and under-earning and close more sales, you need to clear the limiting money beliefs that are sabotaging your business growth. Head on over to debbiesasson.com/mindset and download my free Money Mindset Workbook. Uncover and dissolve money blocks like hundreds of other entrepreneurs who are now building 6, multi-6, and 7-figure businesses and creating true financial freedom.